Lake Health. If that feels like you, if you think you have an issue like that, part of our program that we've created is that we can come out and do some site visits. And Joan had said that, everybody has a part to play in this. I'll just say this is a non-regulatory program. Yes, I work for the state, but if I come out and we look around and say, you could do a drip line trench here, or if you like to garden, you could do a garden. We're not telling you to do a garden. Nobody's going to follow up and see what you did or you didn't. We just come, make recommendations, and then it's up to you after that. It's just a voluntary program on your part. It's just recommendations on our part. So if you're interested in having a site visit, I would just ask you to think carefully if it's more like a property maintenance thing and you say, on the side of our yard, maybe some of those steps would neaten it up a little, but it's not really runoff getting to a collection system or the water body, then that's more, a property maintenance type thing. We need to target water that is getting to a water body. So if you think that's happening on your property and you'd like us to come out, it would be me, Rob Livingston, who works with me on this program, and I don't know, either Peter or Joan or anybody else is interested to say, one thing we try to do is create local people who are knowledgeable and sort of trained in this. So maybe you're not comfortable with Lisa from the state coming out to the property, but Peter and Joan and a few other people, they come around with us, and then they say, you know what? They can come out and look at your property and maybe help you figure something out. That's kind of what we're trying to get going here, is like a peer-to-peer type thing, so you can all help each other. So there is a sign-up sheet out back where you can leave your name and your address. And I really need your email. I did one of these on Saturday and I forgot to say that, and a bunch of people gave the phone number. But what I'll do is I'll contact everybody and I'll say, okay, we can either come out on this date or this date, and we kind of organize ourselves through the email. So if you're interested, sign up, and that is my presentation. So I probably should have paused in the middle and asked for questions, but here we are. So if you have any questions or comments or stories you'd like to share, you can have one of these. We used to bring boxes and give them out, but the printing costs have skyrocketed, and the last time we printed them, we felt like it would actually be irresponsible to give them out that freely, if they end up on your shelf and you never look at it again. But if you want one, you can have one because your tax dollars paid for this. I have 2 of them with me. If you send me an email, I'll send you one in the mail. So I just want to let you know that, and all this information is on the website as well. The guide in its entirety and in pieces is all on the website too. So, all right, I'll stop. Anybody? Anybody have any questions for me, or comments or criticisms, or I'm open. Just speak up.
So in the on the website, is there a point of discussion for enough people who used to have a buffer on their lakefront and then decided that they did so much more of a view that they cut everything down and let it grass? Is there a talking point? I know a buffer is good, but people seem to think that the 0 shrubs is the better view, whereas even though they're sitting in their chair looking over the water anyway.
Yeah, I don't have any pictures of anybody that has done that.
No, but like this picture right here, you have a slide.
Yeah.
So is there something on the website that helps us explain this?
Well, the vegetated buffer fact sheet, the step-by-step explains what it's about.
That's on the website? The stuff about the rain?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's also, the Shoreland program has a handout. I should put my hair up, I'm getting insanely hot. They have an entire fact sheet on vegetated management on the shore. It tells you exactly what you can and can't do, what you need to leave, So that's a really
Yeah.
good fact sheet if you can get your hands on, which you can get your hands on that rather easily. So maybe that'll help you out.
Yeah.
It gives the benefit, it tells you why, it gives you the whole why you need it. So maybe that's the piece you're looking for to share with people. Anybody else? Yeah?
So this is gonna sound like a really dumb question,
No.
but I gotta ask it. So, I understand the concept, or at least I think I understand the concept of a water barrel. So you collect the water, you're gonna use it for your own garden, right?
Yeah, for a rain barrel, is that what you said? I'm having a
Yes,
little trouble
sorry.
here.
So, you know, if you do the gutters to the rain barrel,
Yeah,
the idea is that you would use that water in your own garden, that kind of stuff,
yes,
correct?
yes.
So, with all the pollutants that you're saying are coming off of people's roofs and that kind of thing, this is where, so like if you take it out of your faucet, it's already been through the processing, you know, that kind of thing. Is that water safe to use on, if there's those pollutants?
That's an excellent question. We don't recommend that you use water from your rain barrel on your edibles. Use it to water your other types, your annuals, your perennial beds if they need it. But you can also, if you're tricky enough, you can remove what they call the first flush off your roof. There's a couple of ideas out there online where that first water that comes off is the dirtiest. So if you can divert that and then get the cleaner water, that is considered safer to use on your edibles. And I tell people, I recommend to people not to use that roof runoff on their edibles, but then I say, if you're going to anyway, pour it on the soil and not on the plant. I mean, the plants can still uptake heavy metals and things like that, but at least you're not dumping bacteria on your tomato before you pick it and eat it. So if you're going to do it, try to do it a little more safely. Try to get that first flush out of the way first, or pour it on the ground. I use it on my plants in the very beginning, but once they start growing, I get nervous that I might be putting something in, into my plants from the roof, and then I do use my hose water for my edibles. Thank you. That's a great question. Yeah.
Excuse me, are there rain barrels that are better for use than others?
So the question is, are there rain barrels that are better for use than others?
I think about, because they're plastic, they are of plastic, and they can get very hot if they're in the sun, and I worry about leaching from that barrel itself.
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess maybe another reason to not use it on your edibles, but just water your annuals with it, or your potted plants or so forth. Some people use it to like wash their cars, so there are other outdoor uses you can use that rain barrel water for. There's a company called Sky Juice, and they use food grade. They repurpose food grade water barrels. They're from olives from Greece that come over here, and then they repurpose them. You can't buy them individually. What they do is they have community programs. So if your community wanted to do a rain barrel program, you would need to get pre-orders and then order a whole bunch of them, and then they deliver them and people come pick them up, that kind of thing. But like Home Depot and Lowe's, those in Walmart, they seem to have rain barrels that you can buy individually. Did I answer your question okay?
Thank you, yes.
Yeah.
What about shoreline retaining walls? Are those effective? Are they better than vegetative buffers? Worse?
So I guess it depends. If you have, I can't, there are rules about, building retaining walls. If you're going to build a retaining wall, you need a permit for that because you're working in the water body. So if you're having a problem and you need, you want somebody to look at it and make some advice, give you some advice, that's great. But if you want to build a retaining wall, you need a permit for that. And one reason that natural vegetation is better than retaining walls is because the roots and so forth hold that soil in place. Retaining walls over time tend to come out and crumble apart. You need to do them again. And also, when we have wave action from boats, the natural shoreline will break that up. When it hits a retaining wall, it bounces right back up and right back out and doesn't dissipate that wave action. So in total, a natural shoreline is better, but if you're having a severe situation, you can't get things to grow, you might need to do a retaining wall, which would be better than nothing, in my opinion. Does that answer? Anybody else? I think you have.
Well, I was just gonna, Melissa, I've been using the rain from my rain barrels on my gardens for years. Like she said, I use mulches, you know, to keep, retain the water. But Todd and I are fine.
You are.
We've used it for years. As far as I know, we're fine.
Well, that's good to know. Does anybody else do any types of practices at their house already? Anything that I mentioned or other things that you are doing to collect the rain to keep the runoff? Anybody want to share anything? No, that's fine. Yeah.
So those steps down to the pond,
Yeah.
you have to be a certain height, like, to me, steps are harder to traverse than a rampway. So I understand about you wouldn't have the separation, but do you need a height separation too? Again, the picture shows like 6 inches or 8.
Right.
Can you cheat and get really close to almost level or not? Is that not
Yeah, you
possible?
can do whatever works. The way it's recommended to build is more for comfort. So you know you walk with a natural gait. So there's recommendations in there to make the treads so deep, so to speak, and so high. But you could do, if you had a more gentle path,
Yeah.
you could do stones broken up by some timbers just to kind of collect it and so forth.
But keep it more level.
Yeah, you could certainly do that. Like I said, these are just 10 that we chose that seem popular and so forth, but they're, it's not by any means. And there's lots of other guides out there and lots of other information and resources and recommendations. So, thank you. Anybody else? Yep.
One more question
Yeah.
about, I don't know for sure, but I can only imagine that over time, for residents who live right on a lake and may have some beach right on the water, and I'm wondering about having to replace sand that may have washed away. Is that either the frequency of which it's done or how it's done? Would that be under Shoreline Protection Act?
Yes.
And so permitting has to happen to be able to fix up your beach?
Yes, the last I knew, you could only do that every 7 years. You did need to apply for a permit, and it was every 7 years. Somebody told me that changed recently, but I haven't confirmed that. But yeah, you're not supposed to just buy it every year and dump some in there again, because it's such a huge source of phosphorus, that sand. And it just, like, it disappears. It's not going up, it's going in the water, and it's smothering habitat and bringing that phosphorus. So that's why that's the reasoning behind the permitting, as far as I know.
Following up on this, the level of Gregg Lake was raised. I don't know how, but there was like a beach area that walked from my property to the next property. And in that area, I planted beach roses with the hope that it would keep, it would work. So we